All right, hey people, welcome back to my stream. I wasn't supposed to stream tonight. I mean, after Aki's route, but I just felt like it, man. I was supposed to do a couple of things, catching up and all that, but I was like, I was supposed to do some catching up and all that sort of thing, but I was like, I didn't feel like it, and I feel like starting KS Head, so we're gonna start KS Head. I'm kind of confused. What do you do? Default. What the fuck? What was that? let me open it again. What the hell? That was weird. I was like, how do you return to the main screen? Fuck. It's fucking stupid, man. Alright, here we go. Alright, here we go. Let's start it. Alright, start.
"視線が空から降ってくる。その瞳はいつも僕を見つめていて、眼差しは熱くて真っ黒な雨雲を突き抜けて、雨のように僕へと降り注ぐ。僕を見るな。雨の冷たさより、背中を預けている瓦礫の冷たさのせいで、さっきから体の震えが止まらない。ひどく寒い。突き刺さってくる誰のものかもわからない天からの視線。それから逃げるように、僕はわずかに首を持ち上げて周囲を見回す。そこにあるのは崩壊した街。そこにあるのは絶望。そこにあるのは死。そこにあるのは無。誰もいない。誰も動いていない。誰も生きていない。聞こえるのはただ降り続ける雨の音だけ。このまますべてを、生きているものも死んでいるものも、すべてを優しく包み込んで洗い流してしまうんだろうか。全部の出来事が単なる妄想だったらよかったんだけど、どうやらそうでもないらしい。体が動かない。動かせるのはかろうじて首と瞳だけ。体が震えているけど、そんなのただの生理現象でしかない。僕の意志じゃない。僕は身を震わせたいなんて思ってない。僕の自由にならないなら、こんなの僕の体じゃない。あるいは、生まれた時から僕は自由なんかじゃなかったかもしれない。心の保管してある場所なんて誰にもわからないんだ。それなのに、一体誰がこの体の中に僕の心があるって言い切れるんだ。でも、 だったら僕はどこにいたんだろう。僕はここにいるのかな。僕はどこにもいないのかな。すべてが静止している壊れてしまった世界に、ふと死の雨以外の音が響く。無の中から浮かび上がってくるたった一つの湯。君は誰？その肌が青白く見えるのは雨の冷たさに凍えているから、それとも君がもう死んでいるから。でも彼女は震えていなかった。そして前髪で隠れそうになっているその瞳は、奥を見るな。ひどく悲しそうにも見える。狂気じみているようにも見える。何も映していないようにも見える。もしも世界には僕と彼女の二人だけしかいなくて、こうしてお互いだけを永遠に見つめ合っていたら、僕の世界は彼女の瞳に映るものだけになるのかな。彼女の世界は僕の瞳に映るものだけになるのかな。彼女の瞳に映るものは僕、僕の瞳に映るものは彼女。そう考えると世界は途端に矮小化する。
ね
不意に僕の耳に届くとてもきれいなノイズ。彼女はうなだれて両手を左右に広げる。まるであの雨雲の上へ向けて飛び立とうとするかのように、あるいはこの雨すべてを受け止めようとするかのように。
あなたを見つめ
うなだれた彼女の表情は僕の位置からも伺い知ることができない。雨の薄幕の向こうで君はどんな顔をしている？
殺してあげる。
天使、乱舞する光の羽は僕を祝福しているのか、それとも、ああ、そうか、理解したよ。それで僕を殺してくれるんだね。ゆっくりと倒れている僕の前に彼女が膝をつく。いまだに彼女はうなだれたまま僕の頭をそっと抱えてくる。僕を見てくれないことに僕はほっとしてただ身を委ねた。耳元でささやき、きれいなノイズ。でもよく聞こえない。暖かくて柔らかくて優しくて甘美な感触。それは麻酔のようで、不思議なことに体の震えがゆっくりと収まっていく。彼女のかすかな鼻息が僕の頬をくすぐる。とても甘い匂い。ふと胸に圧迫感を覚えた。彼女の持っていた大きな剣が 僕の胸の皮膚を裂き、肉をえぐり、骨の間を縫い、ゆっくりと体の中に沈み込んできている。でも、彼女のキスという麻酔にかけられて、もう痛みを感じない。こんなにも優しく殺してくれるから、不意に切なくなって、涙が溢れそうになって、それをごまかすために、彼女の頭越しに雨を落とし続けている鈍色の空を見上げた。空が滲んでいるのは、雨のせい、涙のせい。もう、あの視線も感じない。もう、何もない。薄れゆく意識の中で、僕は空へと手を伸ばす。誰か、教えて。僕たちのあの空は、どこへ行ったんだろ
う。Well, that's an interesting opening. Nice achievement. I couldn't see the gaze. Oh, is this the part where I start clicking? Okay. I couldn't see it, even though it was watching me. It was strange. For as long as I could remember, I sometimes felt like I was being watched by some mysterious gaze. Whenever I turned to look, there was never anyone there. Still, I was convinced that someone was watching me. I could tell by the chills that ran down my neck. Was I just being too self-conscious? Or did I just have a fear of being watched? Way back in elementary school, I thought of it differently. That gaze is God watching over me, and I genuinely believed it too. I'd even written an essay about it back then. Chunibayo. Chunibayo. Chunibyo. Chuni. I like they're doing explanation of these things, and it's I think a good VN has like that thing going on. You know, you know, a good visual novel with a good localized visual novel or translated visual novel will have like a tip section or whatever, because you know there's a lot of context hidden in like Japanese language that English speakers will have a hard time figuring out without understand. Yeah. Anyway, that's not, you know, it's better than something like 8th grade syndrome, you know. But now it hurt just thinking about it. Shooty bio. If anyone were to read it now, I'd probably shut myself away from society for the rest of my life. Fuhihi. I could still remember the title of that essay. Whose eyes are those eyes? My chair groaned hoarsely as I leaned back.
僕を見るな。
I muttered that toward the gloomy ceiling, irritated. Naturally, there was no response. This was my room. I lived here alone. Aside from me, of course, there wasn't a single person here. I tried turning around. Oh, they removed the Arcwade. They removed the Arcwade. There was an Arcwade figure here, if I remember correctly. My room was dim and cluttered, with various belongings stacked all the way to the ceiling. Or maybe it's on the other side. Or maybe it's the right side. I don't know. The only source of light in the room was the desk lamp near my PC. There weren't any windows, so the darkness should come as no surprise. And since you couldn't see outside, you couldn't even tell whether it was night or day. Wait. Oh, yeah, they actually replaced the figures. I think this is closer to what appeared in the anime, because I think the original one had Arcwade on this. Anyway, I started speaking to the dark corners of my room.
僕の名前は西條匠。17歳。水明学園2年。と言っても学校にはほとんど行ってないけど。まあそれでも勉強はできる方だよ。定期テストはちゃんと受けてる。しかもそれなりに上位の点数を取ってるからね。頭はいいんだ。
It wasn't like talking to myself would accomplish anything. It wasn't like anyone was going to show up out of nowhere. The darkness just kept on sitting there, being dark. Still, darkness was delusion fuel. After all, the unseen might as well be the unknown. In the darkness, even if you knew it was impossible, you couldn't help but wonder if something might be there, lurking in the shadows. Damn it, this wasn't helping. I was only making my own creepy delusions worse. Why did I do this to myself? To get off the topic, I decided to keep monologuing.
僕は現在アウェイじゃなかった。渋谷で一人暮らしをしてる。この紅会館ビルは父さんの経営するビル会社の管理下にあるんだけど、その屋上に設置されたコンテナハウスを格安で借りてるんだ。街の環境は最悪。僕が住んでる新船町は小さな坂が多いから疲れるし、すぐ近くにラブホ街もあるし。ここが秋葉なら最高だったのに。
Don't worry, we'll see that in Steensgate. Steensgate.
ほんと渋谷ってひどい街だ。円数で言うとディーンズバレーくらいひどい。
Elder Scrolls Online. Yes. Let's see what they say about MMOs. Chutu. Its full title was Empire Sweeper Online. I'd dive into Baselard. That's the world of ESO. You mean Cyrodiil. Pretty much every day at this point. Sacrificing sleep in the process, of course. Dean's Valley was a region in ESO that was full of annoying mobs. They hit super hard, yet they couldn't even bother to drop any decent loot. Only idiots went there to grind. Every vet worth his shit would go to the Forest of Liad instead. It was a much better place to grind, and was right nearby. Of course, that's where I went.
というわけでドキュンと恋愛資本主義者が集まるこんな街は即刻滅ぶべきだね。
Wait, I actually don't know what DQN. I literally don't know what DQN means. Dokyun. Oh.
でもこの部屋の住み心地はまあまあ我慢できるレベル。PC とネット環境は最高水準クラスが揃ってるからね。まあ学生にしては上等の基地じゃないかな。あ、だから僕はこの部屋のことをベースって呼んでる。
As always, there wasn't a single living creature in here except me. Realizing how ridiculous I sound talking to myself like this, I decided to stop introducing myself to whoever was watching me. You should try that. and put myself in the world of delusions. And maybe I should also get a tulpa while I'm at it.
それにしても汚い部屋だな。
The whole room reeked of rot. I could feel the stagnating air crawling in my skin. The empty soda bottles and boxed lunches from convenience stores were scattered all over the floor. Also, my bed was all covered in piles and piles of erogay. Thanks to that, I always slept on the couch instead.
片付けろよな。誰だよ散らかしっぱなしにしたのは。って僕か。
Get a load of this, edgelord. Fed up with my own creepy laugh, I took out my frustration on a plastic bottle lying by my foot. Oh, look! It's Saber. I don't know who this girl is, but you know, I just got out of Tsukihime, so you know, kind of reminded me of Akiha, but you know. Oh, there's Ryder and the girl from I'm just imagining she's also like a fake character. No, maybe it's just me. Kind of looks like Yotsuba, maybe. No, it's not. I don't think it's Yotsuba, but it kind of reminds me of Yotsuba. But, you know, like, I think the original one literally had Arcwade on this. One of the figures. Oh, man. I'm looking at my figures right now, and I'm like, this is literally me. Whatever. Anyway, let's continue. I never let anyone lay on a finger on any of my 100-ish waifus, daughters, and older sisters on Onechan. What? They should have used Onechan or something. These girls were my darlings. Just looking at them suit my aching heart. I made sure to tidy up their shop once a week. It was the only place in the room I ever cleaned. I was always looking for the best ways to display their cuteness. I would constantly rotate and reposition them, trying to create the ultimate layout. Naturally, if I let them get dusty, then the whole thing would be ruined, so I always made sure to clean them regularly. Breathing a sigh of relief, I tossed the bottle aside and turned back to my PC. I kept my beloved PC enshrined at the back of my room. By the way, who the hell? I don't get it. When I don't get how you could play like you put your main game on like a shitty looking monitor. I don't know. This looks like the CRT looks like a better monitor than the LCD looking thing. Well, naturally the LCD is usually better question mark. But the resolution looks smaller, so that's kind of weird. I don't know, man. Because my main screen is like my largest monitor, and my I don't know, man. Anyway, let's continue. Next to my monitor was Seiratan, 1/8 scale, pre-awakening version. A figure from my favorite anime, Blood Tune the Animation. 1/8 scale. Nowadays, it's 1/7 is much more popular than 1/8. Yeah, I think 1/7 is like 1/7 is the regular nowadays. Let's see, what the fuck? Oh, nice. They even talked about honorifics. Sarah Orgel. Let me read this quickly. So it was a manga receiving anime adaptations. Currently airing with a total of 26 episodes planned. Oh, that's you rarely get like 26 episodes anime nowadays. I mean, there are still some. 24 episodes. 26 is used to be like the norm in the 2000s. But nowadays, like they do is like they split up into 2 cores. But there was a time when 26 was like it was literally just going for 26, straight up 26 episodes straight. Yeah, when was the last? I don't know. I think Frieren is going for 24 episodes. 26 is much more rare nowadays, right? Yeah, what was the last? 86? No, 86 only went for like 24. Anyway. Yeah, 1/8 is a very rare scale. Like, I think this Kurisu. I'm gonna show my figure of Kurisu since we're going through Sai. Sai. I'm not sure if you guys can see it. Let me actually look at my own. So if you see this is like 1/7. So 1/7 is much more kind of common nowadays than 1/8. Anyway, it's kind of tangent because this is also in the same franchise ish series. I don't know what the hell you call Sai whatever. Oh, we'll continue. She sat there striking a moe pose and smiling at me. I don't think I need to explain what the hell moe is, so you guys can figure. You guys should already know this. Staring longly in Sarah Tan's eyes, I grabbed a nearby bottle of cola and took a sip. It was lukewarm, but I didn't care. Elder Scrolls Online. I sat back and plopped my hands on the keyboard, just assuming the position that made me feel relaxed. My character in ESO, Neidhart, was a paladin. I had already leveled up to the max and reset twice. Right now, he was back to max level 50. That was the highest rank you could reach on official servers. ESO players far and wide knew me as lightning fast Neidhart. They treated me like a god. I already had all the rare weapons, armor, and magic. I still only had 95% of total rare items, but whatever. It was still a work in progress. I had so much gold that I didn't know what to do with it. Well, aside from RMT, which I made a living off. Even if I stop grinding right now, I'd still have enough to keep living like this for half a year. It's a lot of money, man. If he could say he could live off half a year. But then again, I think he's only buying figures. And this is considering this is like story set in the in 2008. Figures back then was super cheap. Nowadays, they're like the 1/8 one. You know how like this the Kurisu I have here is like 33,000 yen. Yeah, I think it was 33,000 yen. Back then, it was like way cheaper than it probably was like less than 10,000 yen if it was a release back in the day. I don't know, maybe not. I don't know. There's a lot of inflation. I felt like figures nowadays are highly inflated, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know. There's a lot of people with a lot of disposable cash buying stuff. Anyway, aside from just ESO stuff, I was particularly adept at chatting online. It was the only source of social interaction I ever got, after all. Yeah, you know what? There was a time I used to do that myself. I used to chat with randos. Nowadays, I don't. I don't feel like talking to randos nowadays, unless they're people I meet in the game and kind of hang out. But I rarely play like a game that has like lasting online relationships. 'Cause I tend to play more casual games instead of like kind of MMO style kind of games. Anyway, I gave advice on the huge anonymous forum @channel. I posted in epic threads too, of course. Oh yeah, and I had over 100 friends in Prepara, a social network I use. Okay. Respect, trust. I had it all right here. I didn't go to school. It wasn't so much that I didn't want to, and more that I had no reason to. I could study anything online. School is completely useless when you can get everything done from home. Well, look at 2022. 2024, I mean. Well, I did need to attend every once in a while, or else I wouldn't earn enough credits to graduate. So I went to school as little as possibly could. That was the smartest way for a student to learn. My parents always nagged me about it, though. To make things easier, I invented the minimum attendance chart. According to the chart, I only need to attend 2 or 3 times a week. The other students will always make fun of me for being an otaku freak. Isn't that kind of redundant? But as far as I'm concerned, they were the stupid ones for going to school every day. Maybe trying to think for yourself for once, dipshits. The reason why I say otaku freak is like, I always felt that the word otaku had always like a negative connotation. Although there is the neutral connotation, which is just literally, well, for some people they localize it as geek. But I always felt that the word otaku is like, always had a like negative connotation. So I felt like the word freak is kind of redundant, but maybe this was going for like a much more neutral. Let's see how they explain otaku or paladin. Fanatic, nerd, enthusiast, lobbyist. Yeah, while the word may have held negative connotations in the past, it has become less negative over time, with many otaku reclaiming the term as a badge of honor. All right, okay, fine. I'm much more familiar with like the negative connotation of otaku, but see, its connotation is much more neutral nowadays. Fine. On all my life here really isn't all that bad. You okay? Not replying? You AAK or something? Oops. I've been so busy thinking about the gays. I forgot I was in the middle of chatting with Grim. Grim was the handle of one of my ESO friends. I talked to him all the time online, though I never met him IRL. He had a keen eye for useful information, so I could generally rely on him to keep me in the loop. I sat back down and started tapping out a response. Really? You need a translation for LOL? Sleep at keyboard. This is something I don't see often, AAK. That's why I was like, what is AAK? Because I rarely see people use AAK. I'm actually surprised they actually went and translate this one. I wonder if the Japanese version of, maybe I should try reading this in Japanese, but I wonder if this is just like a lot of W's, Anyway. Do you not get enough sleep? Or do you just stay up late doing the dirty with your girlfriend, lol? Up all night every night? Come on, I'm not into 3D, Rolf. The two of us chatted about all sorts of things. Since it was all anonymous, I was comfortable with talking about pretty much anything. I never act like this in real life, obviously. Sorry, I was looking at his desktop and it was like, Epic Finds? What the fuck? What the hell? It's like he installed the game in like his desktop. That's kind of weird location. Do not open. It's so inviting. All right, you like 2D, and by 2D you mean eroge. What is up with you and lewd shit? Me? You're the guy with 40 delusions all the time. You literally were just going on and on about girls in school swimsuits. Remember? Lol. I was. I definitely don't remember that. Anyway. If that's what we're talking about, then here's my take on it. School swimsuit plus glasses equals perfection. Yes. It's not a real school swimsuit unless there's a name tag on the chest. Yes. A white swimsuit? Get the fuck out. Navy blue or nothing. Yes. Slow down, man. Lamau. You like girls with glasses? That's your type. Right. Nah, they pair well with swimsuits. By the way, looking at how people chat back in the day kind of makes me cringe. But I remember that I literally used to talk like this, so it's kind of cringe looking at it. But not gonna lie, I used to chat like this. Usually you take your glasses off for swimming, right? But she doesn't. And that leaves all sorts of room for my delusions to work. Well, your libido is definitely a full throttle today, but that's what makes you right. You, Nineheart. I should be disgusted in yet. Wait, go back. What do you mean that's what makes you you? I mean, yeah, I guess I went a bit crazy there. But I'm still trying to maintain a cool image for myself here. You? Cool? Ahaha. What are you laughing at? Anyway, what were we talking about before I went AFK? It was probably something to do with ESO. Did you seriously forget? There was an incident in IRL recently. An incident in real life? I remember something like that, but what was it? Shogun joined the room. Greetings, Lord Shogun. Sup? Bro, how is this like an open public channel so people just randomly go into the room? I don't like that, Why would you open like a random open channel for like? It's kind of weird. I think people used to do this, but at least in the, people still do IRC. I actually went inside. I used IRC XDCC recently, but I don't know. And let me continue. I introduced myself, but there was no reply from the user named Shogun. What was that? What was up with that? Was he ignoring me? Was I being so friendly to him too? Did he know who he was talking to? I'll have you know, I'm the lightning fast Nightheart. Lurking wasn't even allowed here. Well, whatever. Might as well just ignore him. I guess that was another great thing about the internet. There was no need to worry about pointless etiquette. Anyway, what were you saying, Grim? I was talking about those cases that have been all over the news lately. Like, I know what's happening in real life. Probably something stupid, right? Pretty much, yeah. It's pretty shocking, though. Shocking? Must have been some real grisly murder then. There have been a few here and there recently. You're not gonna send me gore again, are you? What? Can't handle a little gore, Nightheart? I mean, there's nothing I can't handle. Still, I really didn't want to see it. Lately, though, it hasn't been easy to avoid that kind of stuff. People were always trying to trick others into clicking on nasty stuff like gore or some kind of creepy edit. And once you fell for it, you can't unsee it. That was a different time.
まあ、少しは目が慣れてきちゃってるのかも。
That's what they all say, man. That's what they all say. And they call you the greatest paladin in all of Baselard? Lol. I know PK though. PK stands for player kill. In other words, it's when you go around in MMOs killing randos and stealing their goods, gold, and gear. So typical DQN stuff. I'm no troll, and I don't stoop to their level either. And just in general, I try to avoid breaking ESO's rules. As it goes against my policy. Well, except for the rules that prohibited RMT, I broke those all the time, foo-hee-hee. Whoa, calm your tits there, almighty hero, Lamau. So I'm sure you heard of New Gen, right? Question marks? New Gen? What was that? Had he ever mentioned it before? Grim was talking like I should have already known about it. The hell is New Gen? The New Generation Madness. People call it New Gen online. It's the name for the mysterious set of incidents happening in Shibuya. It's all up in your neighborhood, lol. Oh, now that he mentioned it, I did feel like I've heard about it somewhere. Though all I knew was that they existed. I haven't looked into them at all. Doodle. I tried Googling. They just straight up didn't even. I like this translation. New Gen, and instantly got a few results.
この1ヶ月の間に渋谷で発生した2つの事件のことをニュージェネと呼ぶ。その犠牲者は胎児を含めて7人。1つ目の事件は友人同士5人による高層ビルからの集団ダイブ。2つ目の事件では男性の体内から胎児が出てきた。
Yo, the spiral matai. They did the spiral matai there. Yeah, the second one's really fucked up, man. They straight up put a fetus inside the man's body.
これマジかよ。
A chill ran down my spine. Before I'd even realized it, I turned around, was looking around my room again. There was a bunch of results for New Gen and Taboo News, so I went to skim through them. Nippon. Nippon. New generation madness. The incidents that had the entire internet in an uproar. There have been 2 of them so far. One of them was so brutal, several TV channels didn't even describe the crime out loud. The first incident, the group dive had initially thought to be a suicide, but rumors had since arisen that it may not have been. Parents and friends of 5 victims all said the same thing. None of the victims had shown any signs of planning to commit suicide, and they hadn't had any reason to do so either. And so, on top of that, some physical evidence had been found too. I had a quick look. Well, like something out of a creepypasta, right? You shit your salt yet? Not really. I don't care, to be honest. Oh yeah, Grim sends an image. Take a look at this. Lol. What is it? A picture of one of the victims' corpses. It did stuff like this from time to time. But if I wanted to keep up my reputation as a grade 900 base lord, I couldn't let it faze me. Unlike in the real world, I was a god in the world of ESO. I was the strongest, wisest, and most noble knight in all the land. Mocking me would be a fool's errand. And so, gathering up whatever courage I had, I clicked the link. Oh, it was just some shitty doodle. Lamau, I got baited. Who did this? Haha. I drew it in like 2 minutes. Damn, the god of art finally shows himself to us mortals, Ruffle. Anyway, not gonna lie, I'm dead tired, right? I'm dead tired, so I think I'm gonna pass out. Good night. See you tomorrow in Base Lord. Come to think of it, the Shogun guy has been there the whole time. I completely forgot about him, not that I did though. Well, I don't really feel like sleeping yet, so I guess I'll farm an ESO for a bit. Wait, no. The new episode of Bloodtoon comes out today. I didn't have a TV in my room, so I just made do with my PC. Took a quick look at Sarah next to my monitor. I would get to see Sarah Tan today. I couldn't wait. With that in my mind, I made my way over to close the chat window. By the way, I just realized something. Back in the 2000s, during the airing of like the anime, they already had the figures. Nowadays, when you when something airs and they release a figure, you can usually get the figure 1 year later. So I guess back in the day, the cycle of getting a figure was much faster. Nowadays, it's like you have to wait a year before you get a figure of the current seasonal if they release one. I don't know, man. There's a lot of backlog, I guess, or like I guess they're being more conservative about like like figure releases and all that. Anyway, let's continue. Shogun had sent a message. So he wasn't just a lurker. Judging with the file extension, it looked like an image link. I'll send a link posted by a suspicious stranger that hasn't sent a single message until now. I gulped instinctively. I couldn't explain why, but I had a bad feeling about it. A feeling unlike anything I ever felt in all my time on the internet. I really didn't want to click it. I clicked my tongue and glanced at the clock. My rendezvous with Sarah Tan was in 12 minutes. I should probably get this conversation over with quickly. Bait and switch. Lol? What kind of bait and switch is this, Lamau? This guy speaks in German. I can't pronounce that, so never mind. Whoa, what's with the German, lol? I was trying my best to act calm and casual. To be honest, I really didn't want to chat with a shady guy like this. I was so uncomfortable that I feel cold sweat forming. It was saying something like the world changes if you click it. Seriously, what was his deal? Apparently, this guy knows German, so he could read us. And this guy only spoke German. I definitely wouldn't be able to deal with him. Huh? So he could actually speak normally. It relaxed a little bit. Don't worry, you're fine. Any reasons for lurking? Did someone give you the you need to lurk for 6 months before posting spiel? I was thinking. By the way, where are you chatting from? For some reason, there was a short pause. Shibuya. All at once, the images of those gruesome new gen incidents flashed through my head. Even though I hadn't actually seen any photos, I could picture them so vividly that it was almost like I'd been there myself. The man's torn up stomach, the lightless fetus shoved inside. The 5 people that drove out the building, instantly turning into a pulpy inhuman puddle upon hitting the ground. You know, they basically had the spiral Matai incident there. Anyway. Just thinking about it was almost enough to make me puke. I shook my head violently, as if to shake the gruesome delusion out of my head. The Shogun guy was so suspicious. I couldn't stop the paranoid delusions from forming. What was he trying to drag me into? Wait. Same here. Looks like a lot of weird incidents have been happening lately, huh? More are coming. Shibuya is so scary. Shiver. What the fuck? What's the Shogun guy? Some Denpa nut job? By the way, if you're watching me play visual novels, you should already know what the fuck Denpa is, so I'm not going to explain that, by the way. I never seen the formula before in my life, and when you were as smart as me, that was saying something. Try looking it up. This day of age, there was all sorts of information on the internet, so it'll be easy to find. Was he trying to act smart by typing in some nonsense formula? Fuck if I knew. That formula has killed this world's possibilities. What are you trying to say? And what was that link from earlier? Should I just take the bait already? I thought it might interest you. Bro, that's a lot of pictures, man. All of a sudden, the chat was flooded with links. Just, who is this guy? Was he just trying to scare me for shits and giggles? Maybe he was a friend of Grimm's, and they teamed up to mess with me. Feeling the gaze again, I took a look around the room. Surprise, surprise, all that was behind me was darkness and clutter, as per usual. I was hit with an unnatural sense of dread. The feeling of perpetually being watched left me feeling restless. Upon saying that, I realized that my voice is trembling. It was almost like a cluttered room I knew so well has transformed into something completely foreign. Have you ever had to go to the bathroom at night after watching a horror movie or listening to a ghost story or something? You may know the feeling of being unnerved or being even terrified with the dark hallways of your own home. That was close to how I felt right now. In spite of my shuddering, I faced the monitor, leaned in, and before I knew it, the slightest twitch of my index finger, I clicked one of the links. I really had no clue how that happened. It wasn't like my hand had been possessed by some unnatural force or something. It just sort of done it without thinking. But even though I knew full well that it'll be a mistake, I'd click it as if it were the most natural thing in the world.
なんだよこれ。
The image that filled my monitor looked like some kind of modern art piece. And the arrangement was spiked like the quills of a hedgehog, or pins in a pin cushion, protruded from the wall in the shape of a cross. Below it, a puddle of dark red. And in front of it were small pieces of something scattered across the ground, like garbage. Seriously, what even was this? The work of a pretentious avant-garde artist? Those sort of idiots were all over the place. To make gory stuff like this, then spout out some bullshit like that depicts the land of chaos off laid bare in this cruel world. No way in the hell I'd ever consider this shit art. Still, what a weird image. It hadn't explicitly been gore, but it was definitely borderline. So then why? Why was it seem so graphic? Why had it seem so realistic? Why was I imagining the stench of blood? And why was that stench so strong that it nearly made me choke? It was all in my head. So why did I feel sick to my stomach? I felt a sharp throbbing pain in my forehead. The nausea won't go away. I desperately reached for my mouse, but my trembling hand knocked it off the desk, leaving it dangling above the floor by its cord. I reeled it back to the mouse pad and then finally closed the image. But just as I thought it was finally over, my eyes were struck by. Whose eyes are those eyes? I glanced at the minimum attendance chart. In the end, I haven't managed to catch the new Bloodtoon episode live. No big deal. Though someone had upped it in Mewtwo after the fast, so I've been able to just watch it there. I still didn't feel any better though. Those last words Shogun had left behind. It was almost as if he knew about God's gaze and how much it terrified me. It was way too specific for just it to be a coincidence. Maybe someone had leaked some info about me online. Maybe it was some other ESO player with a grudge against Neidhart or something. Prodigies like me got a lot of love, so naturally, they also got a lot of hate. Well, most haters out there are just jealous. You wouldn't see them around much, but every once in a while, some child was start shit because he was jealous of Neidhart's strength and popularity. They weren't worth anyone's time. But we're gone off topic now. Anyway, yeah, that Shogun guy really got to me. Earlier, I tried logging on to ESO to grind for a little while, but I just couldn't concentrate. And to make matters worse, of all days for this to happen.
最悪の日だ。
On top of everything else that happened, I also had to go to school today. I seriously didn't want to go, but if I didn't follow the minimum attendance sheet to the T, my calculations would get completely thrown off. Worst case scenario, I'd even have to repeat the year.
眠いのに。
I shifted the yawn and started trudging off towards school, a trip that was about 10 minutes from my base on foot. He lived so close. As soon as I started walking, my mood sank even lower. My body grew heavy, and I found it strangely hard to believe, causing me to break into an uncomfortable sweat. This was what always had happened on school days. Going to school was pure suffering. Why did I have to go through this? Grumbling to myself with eyes fixed on the pavement, I kept on walking. I turned to enter Shoto Park. The school was just past it. Over by the lake, an elderly couple was taking their morning stroll. Nearby, a businessman sat on the bench reading the sports section of the newspaper. From a park on the outskirts of the bustling city like Shibuya, it was surprisingly calm. Definitely a great place to relax. I took a seat on another bench nearby. We're heading into school in the morning. Boys came here to eat breakfast. I gazed out toward the peaceful pond, the water surrounded by the trees with off-color leaves, their hues slowly changing to autumn as autumn rolled in. As per usual, today's menu was just a cream bun that I picked up from the convenience store conveniently on the way here. It'll be enough to tide me over until later tonight. Oh man, this guy only eats once a day. I always skip lunch. Nobody wanted to eat lunch with an otaku freak like me, and there was no way in hell I'll eat alone when surrounded by people eating and chatting together. After washing down my breakfast with some cola, I began staring up the sky absentmindedly. No matter the season, the sky above Shibuya was always pretty bleak. My parents only live a few train stations away, but there was still a clear difference between here and there. Don't get me wrong, I didn't especially mind the bleak sky, but I also couldn't really explain why. I glanced at my watch to check the time. I needed to get going or I'd be late. I had to avoid that outcome at all costs. I only came to school 2 or 3 times a week, so I had to keep a low profile. To make it through school, I had to blend in, to become invisible like the air. The ideal school day was where nothing happened, one where I didn't have to deal with any of my teachers or DQN classmates. That was the ultimate goal I shot for. It would continue to be until the day I'd finally graduate. This was Sume Private Academy, the school I went to. Apparently, it had only been built 10 years ago, so it didn't exactly have a rich history or anything like that. Since it would still look brand new, it made a pretty good setting for high school TV shows. On top of that, the school uniforms had apparently been designed by some famous designer. A ton of shallow-ass girls enrolled just so they could wear it. And while they called it a prep school, most students here didn't score much higher than the national average. Even more ironic, though, was that the school slogan was, "Here you'll be free," and yet the school rules were actually pretty strict. Then again, they never actually bothered enforcing those rules. So I guess the slogan wasn't really wrong in the end. I mean, I barely ever showed up, and I passed my class just fine. If you can get away with that, you could probably get away with anything. As I closed in the school, I could hear other students more and more clearly. I wasn't good at dealing with crowds, so I kept my head low as I slipped through the gate. Nobody talked to me. Nobody talked to me. I repeated those words in my head like a mantra. My younger sister also attended the school, but she still lived with my parents. Run into her, and any perfectly fine day we could turn into a nightmare. Luckily, I hadn't run into her this time. I made it to class safe and sound. I rushed over to my seat, being extra careful to make eye contact with anyone. I could feel a nearby group of girls threw the glance at me, but thankfully they went right back to chatting afterward. They all thought I was a freak. I was sure of it. Well, from my point of view, you 3D sluts are real freaks here. If you think I'm a freak, then don't look at me. Just pretend like I'm not here. Don't acknowledge me at all. If you all just do that, then I won't bother you either, and I can go about my day in peace. That's why it always confuses me when I see DQs calling people freaks. I just don't get it. If you think they're such freaks, then why bother talking to them? Just stay in the corner and then they'll stay in theirs. Regardless, I was just sitting there, looking down at my desk when...
Yo, Taku.
Someone suddenly clapped me on the back. Startled, I turned to look behind me.
お前、今日って学校来る日だっけ？三角くん。
It was Mitsui Daisuke, one of my classmates. He shot me a friendly smile from beside my glass. The guy was pretty handsome, so all the girls were into him, but he was also into them, and dated them, a lot of them, usually multiple at a time. If you ask me, he was balls deep in the DQN territory. If it were up to me, I'd still clear of him, but...
相変わらず暗い顔してんな。ゲームのやりすぎで寝不足か？別に。
He was the only person in class who was comfortable talking to me. Though he had absolutely nothing in common, so I had no idea why he bothered. I've been suspicious about it ever since the school year began. If I were a girl, I could maybe understand, but if since I was a guy, it made no sense to me.
引きこもりだからしゃあねえかもしんねえけどよ。もっとこうハキハキ答えろって。
I would if I could. Just the act of talking to another 3D human being was painful. Anxiety made it hard for me to speak naturally. My lack of experience made it hard for me to articulate things, and I was always afraid of being teased for saying something weird. That was why I always shrunk back. You have no idea how much pain I go through, so please don't talk like you know me. Also, I'm not a goddamn shut-in. Real shut-ins stay in their rooms 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. I'm not like that.
女相手に緊張するならともかく、そういう態度されると俺らホモと思われるじゃねえか。
Wait, was he just dating girls as a cover? Had he been into guys all along? I tried to back away from him, nearly falling out my chair in the process, but I quickly grabbed onto my desk to catch myself.
お前を
三角君はホモなの？
そんなわけねえだろ。お前俺の女好きを忘れたのか？
だよね。ビビった。
ちなみに
Misubi-kun took a quick look around, then lowered his voice, and grinned from ear to ear.
このクラスの女子で3人もとした。誰だか聞きたいか？
いいよ、別に。
だよ、もっと興味示せよ。田中だぜ、田中。
田中って誰？
お前、もうすぐ10月だって未だに同じクラスのやつの顔を覚えてねえのか。ま、3次元に興味ないんじゃ、それも当然か。
Visibly frustrated, he shrugged his shoulders and let out a sigh. Well, interestingly enough, he never insulted my taste in girls, which was, to put it simply, that they had to be from the second dimension. But never called me a freak for that. He just didn't bother with things that didn't interest him. That was what made me think he may not have been all that bad. That was also probably the reason why I didn't mind talking to him.
これでうちのクラスの可愛い女はほぼ攻略完了だ。そろそろ隣のクラス守備範囲広げようかって思ってんだよ。
Okay, maybe it was pretty bad. If a girl overheard some of the shit he said, she'll be horrified.
D 組によ、めったに学校来ねえけど、すごくいい女がいるらしいんだよ。なんか、そういう燃えねえか。あ、お前の場合は燃えるんじゃなくて、燃えだっけか？
Are you talking about 2D? That's not. Whatever.
ま、お前の興味ねえ話はそろそろやめるか。じゃあよ、ニュージェネの話知ってるだろ？
I hadn't expected to hear those words come out of his mouth. And here I thought he would be only capable of thinking about girls. I couldn't even picture him watching the news or reading the newspaper.
集団ダイブの事件さ。あれも噂によると殺人らしいぜ。
へえ。
マジだって書いてあったんだよ、スポ島に。
What? So his source was Sports Tokyo? I kind of erased any and all credibility. Still, I'd already known about that rumor. Not that I cared.
で、聞いて驚け。その殺人鬼が女で、しかもかなり美人だって目撃証言があんだよ。
女。
Watching Mitsumi-kun get so excited, it finally hit me. Why did he suddenly care not to read Sports Tokyo? Same reason he cared about anything else. Something to do with girls. What a twist. I guess Mitsumi-kun would even go after serial killers as long as they're cute. I mean, if it were me, I'd take a cute, snooty serial killer, but... Mitsumi-kun stared longingly at the blue sky outside the window. Then, for some reason, his face suddenly lit up as if he reached enlightenment itself.
どんなやつなんだろうな、犯人って。 本当に美人なのかな。会ってみてー。
Yeah, this dude definitely thought exclusively with the wrong head.
俺だけは殺されねえ自信があんだよな。だってほら、俺ってかっこいいだろ。いくら連続殺人鬼でも俺みたいないい男に会ったらコロッと惚れちゃうぜ。
And that's why she wouldn't kill you? This guy was so delusional that he'd give me a run for my money. The fact he was able to say all that without even a hint of irony was honestly pretty gross.
僕は興味ないから。
でもよ、興味ないっつったって犯人は絶対この辺うろうろしてんだぞ。どっかですれ違ってたりするかもしんねえし。
Yeah, well, for all I know, you could be the murderer. Okay, probably not, but it was entirely possible the killer could be one of the students in this very school. If that turned out to be true, then I'd use my PTSD as an excuse to come in less often without hurting my attendance.
なあ、今日俺と一緒に殺人現場見に行かね。ここから歩いて行けんだってよ。まだ血とか残ってるらしいぞ。
I had absolutely zero interest in doing that. I just wanted to get through school in peace, go home and greet Saratan, and get back to being worshipped like a god in Baselard.
もう小橋と長谷川は見に行ったって言ってたしよ。
本当に興味ないんだ。
Felt bad about turning Misumi down, since he was so excited, but I really didn't want to go. But even though I was trying my hardest to refuse, he just wasn't listening.
そしたら犯人とばったり会っちゃったりしてな。犯人は犯行現場に戻ってくるってよく言うだろ。 で、次はタクがターゲットにされるんだ。死をもって罪を償いみたいな。罪状はそうだな、引きこもってたからってことで。
I feel like it should have been obvious to him how much I didn't want to go and see a puddle of blood and gore. It would have been way too much for me. It wouldn't be like a haunted house or a horror movie or something people had actually died in real life and the killer was still on the loose. So whatever the murderer was likely to be, I'd like to be anywhere but there. Still, I was curious about the murderer. What could possibly have been their motive? Were they just a psychopath that committed crimes for the hell of it? That was probably the most reasonable explanation. Well, whatever. It didn't really matter to me. I mean, I was a serial killer too. I even thought I killed hundreds. People still treated me like a hero. That was an ESO though, lol. It's good to show how much better the 2D world is. Oh, it's still kind it's a little warmer now. A little. Anyway, as I tried my hardest to turn down Mitsumi-kun's proposal, I imagined myself like a brawler straight out of a fighting game. A psycho killer, huh? If I ran into a guy like that, I'd turn him into minced meat. I made illusions I could kill or spare anyone I wanted. But the people who actually tried to live out those sorts of illusions were idiots. Didn't they know that real life actions had real life consequences? Even the new gen killer would be caught eventually. Then they would rot in prison for years, decades, even just waiting to be sent to the gallows. If I could say one thing to them, it would be, what a pity. You should have just kept your delusions yourself. I went out to buy myself some dinner. I took the road I always used to get to my local convenience store. It was only a 3-minute walk from my base. I'd walked down this dirty alley more times than I could count. For some reason, walking through it today, I couldn't help but feel as if I'm stepping into another world. The alley was just the same as ever, but it felt like it was the first time I ever set foot in it. The familiar yet new, like opposite deja vu. I researched the phenomenon online before the name for it was apparently Yamizu. What's more, the stench of rotting garbage was lingering in the air. The moisture in the atmosphere was so thick, if I had known any better, I'd assume it had just been raining. The air was like syrup on my skin. I heard a sound, the faint sound of something dragging across the ground. I stopped into my tracks and listened closely. I feel like ending stream soon, but I know there's something about to happen here, so let's at least finish this scene, then I want to end stream. It sounded like it was coming from up ahead, from somewhere down the alley and around the corner, without any streetlights or lit up window. It was pitch black down there. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't see a thing. It was strange. This was modern-day Shibuya, a place that, along with Shinjuku, was known as the city that never sleeps. So, how could there still be a place that were at the start? It almost felt like the entrance to a haunted house. Actually, there was one very large distinction. This darkness wasn't man-made. It was real. I didn't want to go any further. Nothing good would come out from it. My brain set off every alarm bell it could, trying to prevent my body from taking another step. But for some inexplicable reason, my body stepped forward anyway, as it drawn to that repeating sound. My fear urged me to stop, that something horrible would happen if I kept going. My heart started racing. My forehead was slick with sweat.
その先に
Suddenly, a noise that was beautiful yet somewhat dissonant at the same time reached my ears. A voice garbled by static. Before I knew it, someone had grabbed my forearm. It was all too sudden. I panicked and tried to scream for help, but all that came out of was a puff of air. Terrified, I tried to force my body to run away, but it wouldn't listen. I couldn't move an inch. I looked toward my arm, and the hand of the thing that grabbed me came into the view. It was dark green, with skin taut like mummies. Countless veins protruded from the surface. It didn't look alive.
行くのは
To be honest, it made sense that I couldn't move. Going all deers in the headlights was a natural reaction to what was happening. What was surprising to me, though, was that the voice in my ears was so soothing, the fear swelling inside me was starting to vanish. A serious and gentle voice. I slowly looked over my shoulder. The first thing I noticed, it was the Sume Academy emblem. The same emblem you could find sewn onto the chest of every Sume uniform. Then I noticed that the person was wearing a skirt, which meant she was a girl. Duh. But I then had the courage to look at the most important part, her face. She was standing way closer than I was expecting, so I couldn't bring myself to face her. I couldn't put my finger on why, but for some reason something seemed off, so I turned my attention back toward her hand. The hand gripping my arm was delicate and feminine, even though just a moment ago I had seen it as green and grotesque. This girl, who was she? What kind of expression was on her face? What kind of expression was she making at me? What was she doing here? In spite of all my questions, I couldn't manage to get a single word out. I simply hung my head in silence. At some point, the dragging sound had stopped,
もう帰って
and in its place, there was a smell coming from her body.
だけど
A stench of blood.
これはいい。
I was sitting behind a computer monitor. I chewed down a cola to contain my excitement, then leaned back into my chair. That'd been one hell of a delusion. I especially liked the mystery girl. It might give her a name and flesh out of her personality in future delusions. I let my imagination run wild at this, like this all the time. Usually I go on to cast an existing character as a girl, such as Sarah-tan, so that I might as well do that here too. Actually, Sarah didn't quite fit the vibe of that mystery girl. Well, at any rate, it was a lot of fun mixing together 2D and 3D in my delusions. I was the god of the world inside my head. In there, everything to my will.
次はちょっとエロ要素も
I said that to myself as if I were in my base, but when I remembered I was in the internet cafe, I quickly covered my mouth. Quietly peeked out outside, and didn't seem like anyone had heard me just now, so meh. For an indoor person like me, At Cafe was the only hangout spot I enjoyed. Being in the center of Shibuya and all, there was plenty of 3D DQ women and office drones occupying it, but since the rooms were all private, that wasn't an issue. As for the room I was in, it was the one I always reserve, room 37, located way in the back. It was pretty inconvenient to get refills, but since very few people ever reserve rooms near the back, it was quite nice. Once or twice a week, I'd come here on my way from school to log on to my other ESO account. My heart was essentially a celebrity, so this was my way to just relax and enjoy the game. While I did love being treated like a hero all the time, it sure did take its toll. That's why I made another avatar. This one was a female character named Lizlet. I haven't accomplished anything big with her. I'd mainly just made her to help Nineheart look even better in comparison. I played for about 3 hours to blow off steam. I then had some fun resting around with my guildmates while talking about hardcore dojins and other random shit. By the time I left the cafe, it was already 9 p.m. There was even more DQNs around this time of night. They lined the streets like they owned the place, stuffing their faces with grassy-ass hamburgers as they let out the most disgusting laughter imaginable. Just looking at them made me want to puke. And what was especially bad? It just so looked at them wrong way, they immediately come and beat the shit out of you. Fucking savages. They weren't human. They were animals, not fit for civilized society. Just throw them in the slaughterhouse or something seriously. Well, I say that, but there was no way I could ever stand up to them myself. So there was no point in trying. Regardless, it was time to get the hell out of such a guy. On my way back from At Cafe, I always stopped by Mandrake, fucking Mandrake, and Animate. Animate. IRL, which was a bit further off. I decided to check out Animate today, so I headed toward the station's south exit. Down that path, there was an instant drop in number of DQNs. Man, Center Guy was completely utter chaos. Just walking through it brought me nothing but pain and suffering. I never set foot there again if I could help it. I wish the whole place would just get blown to smithereens except At Cafe and Mandrake, of course. Alright then. Time to go browsing for some comics, dojins, or whatever else catches my eyes. Oh yeah, that's right. Bloodtoon Volume 5 DVD is coming out. Was it available pre-order yet? If so, I definitely need to get one nailed down. Before I knew it, I found myself in the alleyway at Murayamacho, the same alley I always took back home from Animate. I blinked a couple of times to make sure I wasn't just seeing things. I took a look inside my bag. Nothing inside, but the usual, some textbooks and a handheld game system. I haven't brought anything from Animate today, it's strange. Normally I never leave Animate empty-handed. Well, whatever. I'll let that aside and continue walking. Shouldn't take me more than 15 minutes to reach my base from here. I was only a short walk from the station, yet the dazzling neon lights and thick crowds had all but vanished. There was occasional passerbyers, usually older couples heading to hello hotels or random businessmen heading home, but aside from that, the place was deserted. Hard to believe this was still Shibuya, home to the Wrestling DQ infested Center Guy. Somehow it was already nighttime, and if that weren't enough, it was especially cloudy tonight, making it even darker than usual since the moonlight couldn't shine through.
まただ
I walked down this dirty alley more times than I could count. For some reason, walking through it today, I couldn't help but feel as if I'd stepped into another world. The alley was the same as ever, but it felt like it was the first time I ever set foot on it. Once more, the stench of rotting garbage lingered in the air. The moisture in the atmosphere was so thick that if I hadn't known any better, I'd assume it had just been raining. The air was like syrup on my skin. I like that we repeated the scene just to have like some damn bullshit feel to it.
いや、ちょっと待った。
Yeah, let me finish this scene. I'm really getting tired, to be honest. It's 11:11. Oh, no wonder. Why did I say again? Has this happened before? Had I felt the scene at Java Visvu before? Fuck. Was I getting my delusions mixed with the reality or something? That sounded like the kind of nonsense some expert psychiatrist would say on one of those TV talk shows. Well, whatever. Point was, right in that moment, I was feeling a strange sense of Jammy's flu. But on top of that, I could feel a prickling sensation on the nape of my neck. A sensation I knew very well. The feeling of being watched from the heavens. I could say for sure that it was no delusion. It felt inescapable, as if no matter where I went, the gaze would follow. There was no doubt in my mind somebody was watching me. That was just how powerful the sensation was. I desperately wanted to look behind me, but I challenged myself not to. It was a game that I play every once in a while, a test. I called it "It'll Take Lower Than That to Make Me Turn Around" game. The aim of the game, obviously, was to avoid turning around. I played it when I heard a weird sound, or felt like I was being watched. Whenever I felt the gaze, I tended to imagine some kind of insanely terrifying ghost or monster lurking behind me. Not that I'd ever seen anything in the past 17 years, though. Even on the occasions where I lost my patience and turned around. Still, I'd always been able to at least have at least a little bit of fun with it. I listened to the wind and raised an eyebrow suspiciously and say phrases ripped straight out of the manga. That was the only reason why I did it. Because it was fun. Definitely not because I was scared or anything.
貴様、見ているな。その目誰の目？なんちゃって。
Okay, to be honest, I was really just trying to act calm. Before I knew it, I stopped dead in my tracks. I sensed a change in the atmosphere, paralyzing my body in place. I then noticed my face was soaked with sweat and my knees were shaking. Unable to take it anymore, I turned around, which meant that I'd lost, but thankfully there was no one behind me, not even a car passing by or something. So why did I feel so uneasy? The ringing in my ears ceased. I hadn't even realized that, but I've been hearing some ringing sound this whole time. But still, until now, I had been completely oblivious to it. And now that it was gone, I couldn't hear anything at all. For a place like Tokyo, the sort of sudden silence seemed completely unnatural, unreal. It was the sort of perfect silence where you could hear a pin drop if you focus hard enough. So I closed my eyes and listened closely, just to see what I could hear. But I still couldn't hear anything at all. That was pretty strange. No, that was definitely strange. There was all sorts of things I could be hearing. Trains running by, car horns in the distance, some sort of little small noise. So, why did I hear nothing? Was something wrong with my ears? I felt completely compelled to shout, just so I could hear something. I felt like I might go crazy otherwise, but I couldn't do it. The silence was deafening, but it made me fear what would happen if it broke it. Suddenly, A single sound resounded through the silent world. I turned my head to look for the source, but instead I found a slew of shining objects scattered across the asphalt.
十字架
When I saw them, my body suddenly unfroze, and naturally, perhaps too naturally, I started moving toward them. Driven by curiosity, I picked one up. It was made of metal, with a long pointy end like a needle. A stake? Or a nail, maybe? Whatever it was shaped like a cross. That's my initial confusion. I felt like phantasmal. Like it might float away at any moment. I tightened my grip on it. And the sound continued to reverberate faintly in the distance. A sound, cold enough to send chills down my spine, repeated incessantly. Even so, I couldn't help but move toward its source. It was like I was in a trance. Was it just morbid curiosity? Or was I hoping that noise would save me? That it would grant me salvation from the silent world? You know, this kind of reminds me of that one German folktale. What was it called again? Oh yeah, Piper of Hamelin. A story in which the sound of one man's pipe lured over 100 children into following him. The clanging sound refused to stop, and the further I walked in, the louder it got. It was coming from further down the alley, past the corner on my left. I could already tell, if I turned that corner, I would be met with the source of that sound. And yet I never thought of turning back. Since I thought didn't even cross my mind, it was like my body was moving on its own. And so I turned the corner, and my eyes were struck by a vibrating crimson, shining through the darkness. My first thought was, where have I seen this art piece before? And my second thought was, it doesn't look very realistic. Maybe I was so shocked that my brain wasn't processing things properly. Normally, when I saw something this terrifying, I'd freeze and scream like a little girl. I pissed my pants all at the same time, at once. The work consisted of spikes arranged on the wall, like quills of a hedgehog, or pins on a pincushion. But when I looked closer, I realized the pincushion was leaking blood. So then, that meant the puddle of crimson below it was blood. The feeble glow of the streetlight just rarely reached it, causing the blood to gleam in the darkness. Scattered around was a few shining pieces of what looked like meat. Maybe I couldn't really tell. I tried to gulp, but my throat had gone completely dry. Not a single drop of saliva to be found. And then I realized the thing that was being nailed to the wall was a human corpse. A murder that was far too unnatural, far too brutal, far too immoderate. And the one who'd done it, the one who had nailed these stakes to the wall, was a single girl. And as for how I knew that, it was because she was right there, standing in front of her art, holding a bundle of stakes of her blood-soaked hand. I could only see her back from here, so obviously I had no clue what she looked like. What I could tell, though, was she was wearing a Sume Academy uniform. The stench of rotting garbage was intensifying, and I was hit with a wave after a wave of nausea. I put a hand to my mouth to stop myself from vomiting, but I was nearly at my limit. And then it suddenly dawned on me. The cause of the deja vu, the answer to the question, where have I seen this before?
あの時の将軍のリンク写真
Without meaning to, I said that out loud, without realizing how dangerous or even deadly that mistake could be. In response to my voice, her shoulder twitched slightly. And with that, she slowly turned to face me. In that moment, it was as if her gaze was piercing straight to me. Such desolate eyes. She had just killed someone. At first, she seemed shocked, but her expression quickly changed to a somber smile, and then
よかった
she softly whispered those words. Thank goodness. Thank goodness for what? Why was she smiling at me? I didn't understand. The questions kept piling up to the point where it sent a chill down my spine. Now panicking, I tried averting my eyes. The first thing that came to my mind was, I don't want anything to do with this. I mean, for starters, I could hardly make eye contact with regular treaty girls, let alone psycho killers, and the police would be here soon, and I was hungry. That's why I should just go home. Yeah, I need to get out of here as fast as humanly possible. If I don't, I'll go insane. Suddenly, she called me by name, even though I never told her my name, even though I never even met her before.
あなたに会いたかった。
As she looked at me, her lip twisted into a horribly fearsome smile, almost like she was a demon. Screaming at the top of my lungs, I ran as fast as my legs could carry me. It hurt to breathe, but I didn't care. I just kept screaming and running as if my life depended on it. At one point along the way, I turned my head and to look behind me, but she didn't seem to be chasing me. I'm gonna call it in here. You know, we can do a lot more of this tomorrow. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed the beginning of this visual novel. I actually watched the anime first, so I have it. You know, I actually already know the whole story. I mean, at least whatever the anime told me. But the visual novel is already giving me a better experience based on what I remember. So this is I'm having fun. And you know, as with visual novels, there's a couple more endings and much more perspective on this. Anyway, yeah. We'll be continuing more of Chaos and Noah on you know, for the streams. We'll go through every ending and yeah. Anyway, I'm tired and yeah. I guess I'll see you guys on the